Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I am honored to bring you my special guest today, Mr. Neil. Tell everybody about yourself, please.
I'm Neil Hailey, but I call myself Neil the Media Giant Hailey. I'm a nationally syndicated radio podcaster, social media expert, own multiple businesses, but really my heart and love is in what you do. And I've been doing this for almost 15 years. Started out in a college radio station, to end up getting syndicated on 150 plus stations. I have radio and television. I have television as well. And number 7 celebrity podcaster in the world, recording a feed spot, and have a marketing agency and lots of other projects in development. But really, it's just all about, I love to talk to people. And it started, as, hey, I'm going to do this. And it's grown to something very, very special and exciting. And then teaching other people how they can do it as well. And it's great that we all can do it. Yeah.
That is wonderful. I can hear in your voice the sincerity of this, that you look at it, even though you're special and spectacular at it, but this is really your life. This is how you live.
Yes, it is totally how I live. I do about 15 to 20 shows a week.
Okay.
And produce 20 or 15 shows, plus, just help people grow their brands and build their, and get their voice, because everyone has a brand, everyone has a story to tell. And I try to teach them and provide that opportunity for everyone, because it just really, what happens is a lot of people are afraid to get out there and do stuff, but this is definitely how it develops. And I have a pretty interesting story of all the different things I've done to get to where I am.
Let's have it. We're here, please.
You can have 52 segments to start out with. I mean, if you go key highlights and different things, my background, talk about, I grew up in the Pittsburgh area and basically played college basketball for 1 year before playing first high school basketball out in Pittsburgh. This is the kind of background stuff people don't get. Is I played high school basketball, then went on and played college basketball 1 year at Western Maryland, and then transferred to LaRoche College, where I thought I was going to, which is LaRoche University. Played basketball again and got recruited to become a professional wrestler. That's kind of where that story changes in so many aspects, because once I went ahead and I got recruited to become a professional wrestler, I was only 220 pounds, 6'10". I ended up becoming 310 pounds in my wrestling days. So I had a lot of weight to put on in different things, but at that time, they really liked big guys in pro wrestling. If we're looking at a date time in 1993, 94.
Oh, I'm a wrestling fan. Huge. So, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I love wrestling. Oh,
yeah, so that's kind of how my whole media rise started. I was not very comfortable in front of a camera. You can't believe that. And I have stories of that when I was doing promos in pro wrestling, that I could just not even cut a 30-second promo. And I swear to you, I couldn't cut a 30-second promo, but it was because I was trying to be a character I was not. So they built me as, this big, giant goof that didn't have intelligence, was just angry at the entire world, and that just wasn't me. I could be a bad guy. I could have a mic and really make people angry or good, but I couldn't do it the way they saw a persona that they were trying to create when I was a professional wrestler. So I was talking about 94, then I got trained first in Bricktown, New Jersey by the late Iron Mike Sharp, went over and got trained in Ohio by the late Charlie Fulton. It's terrible that two of my trainers are passed on. And then from that time period, I wrestled independent wrestling all the way into 1999. I ended up wrestling in the WWE once. I ended up wrestling in Germany and Canada and half the United States. I was a number in the top 500 in PWI 500. I think, forget which year. I think it was 98 or 97. But I also ran into a lot of superstars. The Rock, before he was The Rock.
I know you did. I know probably, man. The Hitman Hart. All of them were out at that time. Ric Flair, the Hitman Hart, the Ghost.
You remember Rhino, just all those different guys. I ended up running with Christian. I wrestled in tours with Christian. So it was just really an interesting experience in professional wrestling. But I ended up walking away in 99. And the reason I walked away in 99 is because I totally just wanted to change my life. I thought something was speaking to me at that time. It was one of the hardest things to do, to walk away something you love.
Yeah, I love wrestling. Well, that's 25 years talking about. 99, yeah. So,
isn't that crazy? 25 years?
Yeah, 25 years. I mean,
making a comeback.
Yeah. And I mean, with wrestling, different from all the sports are spectacular in a sense, right? But wrestling is something that you do 365 days, and there's no season that is a break or anything. There's no rest. Wrestling is just amazing, and the excitement that you get just seeing the wrestlers is just mind blowing. It's like a bomb exploded, and everybody in the whole facility, the Madison Square Garden or wherever you go. I'm a wrestling fan, so I all over. But WrestleMania, you know what I mean? So wow, what an exciting life! I know that. Wow, that is amazing. That
Absolutely. Really, it's an interesting story. So, do you have those kind of life-changing decisions that we all make in life? Right? I'm sitting in Bremen, Germany in '99, 25 years, and I'm going to get back in the ring in 2024. So you're right, perfect timing. 25 years it took me to decide to come back. But do you have those kind of life-changing decisions in your life saying, I'm going to go a totally different direction and just stop what I was doing?
Well, it happens. Sometimes we don't plan it. Like say how you're making that decision. Sometimes that decision is made for us. And the difference is that you decided to walk away, but it didn't affect your happiness, your lifestyle. You just decided that, okay, I'm going to put this on hold for a second. But you're so multi-talented, too. So then that's the other thing. There's a time and a place for everything. You know what I mean? I love to hear music. I love to play music. I love to fool around with the music. But at the same time, I love theater. I love plays. I love wrestling. I love basketball. You know what I mean? And life is all these different things coming at us. So it's really something special. But I can tell you that when the day comes that you put that book out, it's going to be a bestseller.
Oh, when that book comes, it's going New York Times bestseller. That's it. Or
I know, that's right.
New York Times bestseller or no deal.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be bestseller. Because the way you portray and tell this story, just once they pick the book up, obviously they're not going to be able to put it down until it's done. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And chapters are written right now as we speak on this interview in the process of where I'm going. But that was a hard decision. And then I ended up going back to become a school teacher. So I got my master's degree. I finished up my undergrad because I did drop out of school. And back into the story. So 99, Bremen, Germany, I decide I'm out. I go back. What am I going to do? Go through that whole career services thing. Because I didn't first say I want to be a teacher. I thought in my head maybe I wanted to be a teacher, but it never showed in any of the career service areas. You know, you take those career tests and they kind of list what kind of job you want, things like that.
But it's your heart that will define that for you. It's your heart and your spirit will define exactly.
The problem is that when you're an undecided person, when you went to your undergrad, you were undecided. The whole process that we teach young people today or back in the day of, hey, pick your career. It's really hard because we don't teach you to lead with your heart. Lead with something that makes you passionate. Lead with something that when you wake up every day, this feels not like work. We don't teach people that. And when we don't teach people that, we don't teach them that whatever you do with your passion, you can do it to your best of your ability and make a living at it. Oh, no, we don't. We put them in their little boxes. Okay, you're going to be in this box. You're going to be in this box. So I was going through that career service thing.
Yeah, basically.
Finished my undergrad and then I said, I think about teaching. Okay. And I got the opportunity to teach for the first time at a reading camp with only 4 or 5 little, young kids that couldn't read. They were having trouble reading. And when I got to see
meaning that they were, when you say that they're having trouble reading, that the kids had some kind of slowing
reading disabilities.
I see.
Reading disabilities.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's
and
something
totally.
Every
one of them had these reading disabilities, and I said to myself, "Wow, what a feeling to work in these small groups and see kids get it."
Yes.
It's probably one of the most powerful things in the world when you teach somebody and they understand it and that light bulb goes on.
Yes.
And I'll go back to my days when I was a teacher, how that felt. Especially kids that were hungry for education, how that felt.
Yes.
It was just like so powerful to see these kids progress. I said, okay, I'm going to be a teacher. I was working in customer service at the credit bureau in Columbus and Pittsburgh. It was a company that did credit reports for mortgage companies, and I'm like, I'm quitting. I'm out. I got to sub right now.
Well, you're too bored. It wasn't satisfying your needs.
It was not, and I'm still wrestling at this time too. So I didn't. This is before the retirement, so I'm kind of giving the backstory that I was wrestling first at the Credit Bureau of Columbus. Then when I came back, I was sitting there and I said, "This is not what I want to do." So I got emergency certified to teach before even getting my degree, my master's degree. Because I have an undergrad at La Roche College in history, and I have a master's degree in education.
Okay.
So I said to myself, "Why is this? This is just not satisfying. Answering, data entry, picking up the phone, calling people, not me at all." So I got in the classroom and I taught for X amount of years. So I'll let you ask me some questions. I'm kind of giving you a story of what your thoughts are. Well,
actually, honestly, the people want to hear your story. So what you're doing right now, this is authentic. I'm not poking you. This is not set up. It's real. It's from the heart. These are the stories that really matter and really make other people's interests go high. Because this
I understand.
Yeah, this is what I want my show to be about.
A different story because I've not done many interviews. I'm cutting a different story that probably will be my book. I'm cutting it more in a personal side of what I was thinking at those times. I'm always talking about the highlight of my life, not the low light. Because that's what you're going to have highs and lows in life. You just got to keep going towards your dream.
That's it.
And when I was going through those career services tests and I was working at the Credit Bureau of Columbus, I was getting depressed because I was in front of big crowds, but I thought, you know what, wrestling is not going to be great for a family. And I decided when I was getting ready to get married, I thought I'm going to go do something else. Thank God I did find teaching.
Okay.
And it fulfilled me in a lot of ways. More one-on-one than big classrooms. I enjoyed teaching in a large classroom. I taught high school. I taught middle school. I taught elementary school. I taught almost every grade. First, I got a job in special education when I was emergency certified, teaching kids in a high school math, science, and social studies, and that they had IEPs. So I wasn't even certified in special education. And that's where my heart really went towards the kids that have the special needs. It ended up being with autism, where I have been an educational advocate for X amount of years fighting for families with autism. I would go against school districts, things like that. That could be another one of my stories because it really, I want to do is
I agree with you on that because right now throughout the country, the cuts seem to be primarily steered towards our education. Our children, our public education system needs the funding. They can't afford to lose anything. In fact, they should be getting more funding. So when you tell these stories, it means something to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and especially a teacher that's dedicated.
That education background.
Yeah,
just like you don't see the wrestling background. But it's such a powerful thing. Fight for a family where the district's given up, the teachers have given up on the kids, and you got to go in there and you got to present yourself. And there has been some knockout, drag-out fights that I did. I don't know the Neil at 51, what the Neil at 27. If I told that Neil at 27 when he's fighting in his districts, that he could have done it in a lot better positive attitude and just prepare, which I was a very big preparer. But I also was somebody that liked to argue and be more of an argumentative person. I've changed in dramatic ways in my life to when I turned 51, where, we don't need to do it in an argumentative way. We got to prepare ourselves. We can't take it personally.
No.
We're here to fight for those kids. We can't take it personally. But I really wore my heart and soul for these students, especially students with autism and special ed that just were not getting their fair shake in the public school system. So I was an advocate, plus had a tutoring company. I tutored kids all levels, even college. I helped the student that got into med school by teaching them certain study skills. So that was all the development of me, while parallel, I started the radio business at the same time. And I'll get to that part of the story. So basically, education was pulling me so much, but entertainment was just still speaking to me. Like, I walked away from wrestling and I missed the roar of the crowd. It's one of the biggest rushes in the world to have a crowd cheer for.
Yeah, it is a big rush. There's nothing that can top it either.
I do live podcasting and in front of an audience of 1,000 people, or interviewing one of these major people where there's an audience and speaking in front of groups. What a rush. But I tell you, in wrestling, a crowd getting people to either hate you so much or love you so much. It is such an addictive thing. And that's why I can see why people are professional wrestlers. I can see why they'll take.
Well, they make a lot of money in professional wrestlers. It's not like they don't make a lot of money. The professional wrestlers are.
Yeah, it's almost just like acting.
Yeah.
The top 5% of them make a lot of money. The others are just surviving. It's the same thing in acting. You got the 5% making a ton, and the rest. It's almost like society.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
But
the haves and the have-nots. The haves and the have-nots.
Yeah. There's a show like that. Is there a show haves, have-nots? I forget which one.
Yeah, but it's just the reality of what you're saying is just the process. It's the way it is. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So
some are going to run and roll with the ball and be spectacular with the ball, and others are going to just be average. You're not going to
average.
Yeah.
So we don't want to look at anybody else around them. If we would teach kids, don't compare yourself to the other students, just like we try to go and put them in the Bluebirds, and they went back to that, by the way, which is ridiculous, where they group kids based on ability, and they let everyone know whose abilities strong and who is not.
Yeah, and they shouldn't do that.
And they shouldn't do that. The most powerful thing is education. However, but education is powerful for life.
That's right.
Where we are at 18 years old does not dictate where we're going to be before we die.
That's exactly
whatever that
true.
time is.
That's exactly
And we
true.
need to teach people that you don't look at other people, okay?
That's right.
You don't look at you look at yourself and say, how am I growing to be the very best I can be? And I'm not going to look at other people in the rear mirror and say, oh my gosh, I want to be like this person. I want to be like this person. You can look at that in ways saying, I want to get to that, but don't compare yourself and make yourself feel so down every day. When you see someone with millions of social media likes saying, hey, I'm not special because of that. No, you'll find your way.
Yes.
Everyone will find their way. I'm very, very competitive, but I also am now taking a step back to say, I'm going to be competitive with myself.
That's it.
How can I grow? Okay, I had 20 top celebrities this month. How can I get to 30?
Exactly.
How can I? But I'm not going to look at other people. We need to teach everyone that we all have this gift.
Absolutely.
And we all have to take this gift to the right level. We've been beaten down by so many people in society and people that are jealous of us. That's what causes us to feel the way we feel.
Great. I feel great. And if we could teach that and spread that, that's a beautiful thing. And your story is actually doing that. Believe it or not.
And that's what you got to bring that to the table and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be angry. There's no reason to spend time in your life being angry or upset, because all it's doing is hurting our body.
That's right.
It's hurting our mind. It's hurting our health. It's hurting our mind, body, and spirit when we're angry or upset. Remember I told you those days when I was angry as an advocate, when I was fighting for kids, and I thought, I'm going to take the same attitude I had in the ring into the classroom. I'm going to take the same attitude I had in the ring into my relationships. Wrong. So now me walking back into the ring 25 years later, I'm not going to have that anger. I can play that anger. Right? Okay. It's an acting. I'm not going to have that just disdain towards certain things. I'm coming in with a different attitude. Well, that's the different attitude having on life. Is this? There's no reason to fight. There's no reason. Yeah, you can defend yourself. Absolutely. But don't let it bother you at the end of the day, because the way you feel the next day is the way you're going to perform the next day.
That's true. It's really true. And violence is not the way. Yeah, absolutely. That is why we have so many wars, all this going on, this one, that one, this one, that one. And
bottom line, you know why? Because everyone wants to be on top. And it goes back to history.
Yeah.
History always
repeats
thought
itself.
To be this person that is upper echelon, higher than everybody else, and knows everything's right. And we have to have this anger, this disdain, this thing for people,
I don't have to agree with you, but I don't have to want to kill you or violence or do something to you if I don't agree with you. I see that's the problem. And if a lot of times the competitiveness is one thing, but even in professional sports, when you see people get up and choke and this is not in wrestling. I'm talking about just the soccer, baseball, anything like that. And something is not right because that's not what the game is about. It's about teamwork, with the exception of wrestling when you can fight for yourself. But sometimes they have to tag team and things.
It's acting. So let's kind of go into that process where I went to become the media giant. What started this meteoric rise back up? It was I wanted to start a podcast for my tutoring business.
Okay.
And I started a show called the Total Education Hour at a college radio station, WRCT 88.3 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No longer on there because it's a public access station. And I was doing too much promotion. And at one point I was done. I'd love to go back and do an education show there again. There's nothing about doing a live program with Paul and the rush of a live show with news and you get callers. Oh man, that's something fun.
I hear you talking about it, so you're going to bring it forth with your energy. I can see it happening.
And I wish we could go back to that live atmosphere. I'd love to go to a studio and there's callers and things. It's the most powerful thing because you never know who's going to call in that's listening to the topics and the topics that we had in WRCT 88.3. And then days that we didn't get calls, we're like, is anyone listening? So that's what I teach other people is also, you might have an audience of 1 or 2 at one point in time, but someday you can have an audience of 3 million, 5 million, or wherever million you have. You have to just believe you can.
And you got to grow it. Once you drop those seeds and you keep nurturing those seeds.
Sooner or later, and you got to have that belief, and it's all about belief. If you don't believe in yourself, and I believe there's a specific energy in your brain, that controls, if you believe in yourself, you're going to achieve yourself. But if you don't have that belief and somehow in your subconscious tells you you're not worth it, guess what? You'll never be worth it. And it's really a shame.
Yeah.
And and I can see your energy and I can see certain people's energy that they really believe that they are doing something special. They're going to be the most talented people to work with. When people don't have that, you might as well forget about it. And that's what I do. And it's like you have this thing. And I think when you talk about leaders and craziness of political people, they in their subconscious don't really believe they're that good of a leader. Even though they reached the
and then if they have a lot of people protesting about what they're doing, then it may not be the best idea. Maybe something that they can simply rethink. If you're going to be a leader and you're going to be a council person or you're going to be a mayor or you're going to be a governor or whatever, and you're not listening to the people and you just think you know it all, then something is seriously wrong. You know what I mean? Shit all the time. Something is wrong, and then they lead the people that want the things to go black and white, but they only do it purple. So
it goes back to feeding the ego. It goes back to either look good than have productivity. I'd rather be the know-it-all that thinks I know it all. That's another thing I've stopped being as a know-it-all. I was a know-it-all for many years. When I was a pro wrestler, I was a know-it-all. I thought I knew it all and didn't want to learn. I'm one of the biggest learners now that are constantly learning and hear from people and sometimes beating myself up. I got to learn this now. This is not acceptable.
You're going to learn because you're around youth and children and you're teaching. And the youth and the kids teach us something new every day. Every day, whether we like it or not, And things are changing, so we have to learn. It's not like in class, even you just said it. Before you could just, if the teacher could say, "Oh, you having any problems? Put your hand up." Now we have the internet. Then we have COVID, so you're not even in class no more. You don't even, you know what I mean? You have to go along with the flow.
Totally. And go on whatever that conversation or situation is. So when I was talking about the college radio station, I ended up from there meeting a syndicator that said, "Hey, I can syndicate your show on more stations." Really? I could just be not just on this college radio station, and I was on Blog Talk Radio. If you remember the days of Blog Talk Radio, was one of the only ones that anyone could do it live.
I remember that. That's quite a difference.
They're still around.
Yeah, I know, but it's in not like small little private universities and stuff like that.
It was the first ever live streaming platform that anyone could be a podcaster. It changed the game. Only people would have the professional mics in those days in the 2000s and early 2000s. They would be able to record, but they would never get a live atmosphere. Blog Talk would have a live show that everyone could listen to all over the world.
Yeah,
people call in. I was using publicists and different people one at a time. I did great education debates where I had 100 people streaming live and we're all debating different things. And it was the days before, it was like I guess, the first ever podcast social audio before social audio became social audio at Blog Talk Radio. Yeah. Where you'd have 20 people having a conversation on Blog Talk Radio, taking callers, and the producer could be anyone who has a computer and a phone.
I know. I remember those. I can honestly say that we don't even have enough time to get a whole story, so I have to bring you back. And that's fine.
I'm down.
We'll do part 1.
100%.
This is part 1 here. And obviously, I think we could go another half an hour, so I'm going to have to bring you back for part 2. But I can say I'm delighted to have you.
Can I tell people? All right, go to neilhailey.com, and if you watch this, and you'd like to go ahead and be able to talk to me about your brand, your business, you can get a free call with me. Just go to neilhailey.com and message me, and there you go. And we'll set up a call, and we'll have a fun conversation. And if you're looking for me to be on any shows or anything, you're a podcaster, or you're looking to be a podcaster, contact me as well. And I really had a fun conversation. Part 2, I knew we'd have to have part 2.
I didn't, but it is beautiful. And I can't thank you enough, and I can't wait for the next experience.
All right.
Thank you so much. You have a day full of abundant joy. And please, keep doing it from your heart. That energy is just like, it takes me to the moon and back.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. B.E.A.T.